A couple of days before I got bit, it was raining a lot, so all the water was running out of the estuaries, and it just had that sharky vibe. It had birds diving into the ocean, and the fish jumping. It just, it was a typical. It wasn't a nice blue day. Let's call it that.
I think educating people about where the sharks are. So, for example, don't go surfing in a river mouth. I know there's some great breaks on surfing river mouths, but it's not a good place to go.
The water was very murky, in a sense. The waves are big. There's lots of whitewash going over the surface of the wave, and also because of the rain, it was a browny, murky, churned up ocean.
I think that people need to take more personal responsibility. If you're an adventurer, which you are, if you're a surfer and a diver, an ocean goer, if you're going to climb Mount Everest, then there are risks associated with that, and you accept those risks. There's nearly 200 dead bodies on Everest, and it's because people accept the risks of climbing Mount Everest. If you're going into the ocean to go for a surf or a dive, there are risks.
And then it was fairly dark and there was no one around. It wasn't a really good day to be beach walking or anything.
And so the future is to educate people, for them to take the opportunity to mitigate that risk if they choose to do so and move forward in that way. It is absolutely not around culling.
I know that the bull sharks, which I got bit by, they use their mouth like we use our hands. They just want to touch and feel, and they're curious of what everything is. Where really they only want to eat fish. But I guess I was unlucky that he just wanted to test out what I was. And as soon as the shark, I guess, realised that I wasn't, what the shark was after, it let me go straight away. So I truly believe that it was a mistaken identity and nothing else.
Now, the shark shield technology exploits one of the shark's senses. So sharks have the same senses that everyone else has to find food, sight, sound and smell, but they also have these electrical receptors called ampulla of Lorenzini. Now, these electrical receptors can sense the electrical field coming off a living creature or animal at very close range, but no more than 50 centimetres. What the shark shield technology does is it runs a current between two electrodes, creates a very large, powerful electric field, many thousands of times stronger than the shark's expecting to get, say, from a fish, for example, causes the gel-filled sacs to spasm and turns the shark away.
Small product like this, it's lithium-ion batteries. It runs for around 4.5 hours and it puts out an electromagnetic field. The electromagnetic field comes from both this end here, where the device is clipped in, and also from this end here. So we have two electrodes, one at each end of the board, and this creates an electromagnetic field around the board.
The technology was originally developed in the late 80s and the 90s out of South Africa by the South African government, which has a large netting and drumline program. In fact, it was originally tested by Val and Ron Taylor in the 90s. One of the interesting myths about this technology, and we're not actually quite sure where it comes from, but people think that it attracts the shark and then repels the shark. And that is absolutely, completely incorrect. Shark's ampulla of Lorenzini at best is 50 centimetres. And the electrical field of the shark shield, after about 6 metres, you can't measure it. And that's just a physics law with electromagnetic waves through water. It's extremely difficult. But the layperson's answer to the question of does it attract sharks, if it did attract sharks, we would have sold one to every shark fisherman in the world, and we have not. It is just, the myth is not true.
I was screaming for help on the sand. I screamed felt like forever, but I think it was a good 5 minutes. During that time, while I was screaming, there was a lady that walked past me. Wasn't too close, maybe she walked past 10 metres in front of me on the beach, but she had her headphones in listening to music, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs for help, but she just looked at me and she just kept walking. After the incident happened, when I got back, ended up getting a card from her, and she said she thought I was joking and she just kept walking, and she was so sorry and that, but I understand her position because this kind of jokes happen all the time. Anyway, so eventually my friend who was getting changed in the car parks, just maybe 50 metres from where I was on the sand, he heard me and he ran and chased and got the lifeguards who were almost ready to go home.